Whatever you are, we're glad you're taking the time to be here for whatever reason you're here. I'm going to challenge you, as I challenge every student that I ever talk to, take something from today. I don't know what that's going to be. It's always going to be different for everyone. But take at least one thing from today. That's the first thing I wanted to say to you. Second thing, why launch? Why Pride Launch? So some people will say, well, why are you celebrating Pride? Why are you doing this? Why is the Pride flag outside? So many reasons. And the simple start I'm going to give you is, I guess, my mission, which is we have an equity action plan. Support for the 2S LGBTQ+ community is one of the 3 strands of our school board's equity action plan. Well, if we're going to say something's important, then we got to act like it. And so that's why we're having a Pride Launch, because it's important. It's important to let everyone know within our Catholic schools that they're welcome, that they're loved, and that they're cared for. And so that's why we do a Pride Launch. Now, I want you to think a bit about the pride flag, because it causes a lot of consternation for some people. Some people will say, well, why is this pride flag flying? Well, one, I give credit to our school board trustees who ended up voting in favor of having this pride flag flying. But the other thing, words matter. And so if we're going to say that the pride flag, the rainbow flag, represents love and inclusion, well, I know you know what the opposite to that is. And the opposite to that is hatred. And the opposite to that is making people feel unsafe. And that happens too much throughout our societies. And that's why, when we put this flag up, when that flies, that's saying to everyone, yes, you are cared for. Yes, you are welcome. And why again? Everything we do in our Catholic schools is the idea of what God calls us to do. In a minute, I'll invite Father Michael up to lead us in our opening prayer, because in our Catholic schools, we center everything that we do in prayer. And I'll tell you this, students, you being maybe far more liberal than some people might be, I have a lot of people that sometimes push back to me. And they say, why are you talking about this in a Catholic school? And I give the same answer every time. How can we not? My daughter's 22 now. She's in her 4th year university studying to become a teacher. And what she often says to me when I have these conversations with her, ask people why this affects them. Why are they so bothered by it? Why can't you just talk about this without people being so upset? Because that's what Jesus calls us to do. I sometimes forget. So my name is, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Roy Fernandez. I'm the Superintendent of Indigenous Education and Equity. My pronouns are he, him. And I forget to use my pronouns sometimes. And I said that to someone. And they said to me, well, don't talk about what you forget. Don't make this about you. Well, I'm going to make it about me. Not because my friends think everything is about me, but I'm going to make it about me because that's the human part of this. I learn each and every day. And if me using my pronouns, saying he, him, are going to make any person more comfortable, good. If it makes anyone uncomfortable, maybe I'd ask why. Why is it such a thing of discomfort? DR.ABC, who I'll introduce after Father speaks and Aileen does our land acknowledgement, said something I remember from October. And he said, these pins and these buttons you wear, they don't mean anything unless you're going to live it. Unless you're going to find ways to show people what this means. And so I hope whatever pins or buttons or flags or stickers that you have, don't just put it on. Don't just say your pronouns. Live it. Live it and show people your acceptance. I wrote down 5 things. I want to make sure I set everything there. I think I did. I can't read what I wrote down here. My writing is so bad. So my last thing is to you, teaching everyone who I started with. If you're going to tell, oh no, I did have one last thing. Sorry. I want to tell you about the pride flag. I learned something new myself. I went onto our school board website and it talked about the colors of the pride flag. So I wanted to tell you, maybe this is new learning for you. Red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, which means a lot to me as an eco person, blue for harmony, and violet for spirit. And that's the last thought I want to leave you with. Harmony. What is harmony? Well, as a musician, I know harmony is that beautiful sound that we make when we can end up finding ways to make something better, to make something more beautiful. Well, harmony within our school system is letting each and every person know, yeah, you're welcome, yeah, you're loved, and whoever you are, however you identify, you matter. And that line that I've taken from Aileen before, one of our resource teachers is, I see you, and we see you, and we want you to know that you're special and that you are important. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Father Michael to center, as we always do, in prayer to start our day.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Good morning, everybody. Groner, good morning, everybody. Good morning. When you have to follow people like Mr. Fernandez, I always think, I wish I'd said that. 2 or 3 things that he said I wanted to say this morning, and he's already said it, that's fine. 2S LGBTQ+, Pride 2024. One of my lines is, it's time that we were doing this. No, folks, it's past time we're doing these things. This is the Toronto Catholic District School Board. But every person, every single person created in the image and likeness of God is welcome at Toronto Catholic. So if your tradition is Roman Catholic, or if it's something other than that, whatever it is, a belief system that you have, you are welcome here. This is where you belong. And so while I'm doing that, I will include the people that are up there. Good morning to you too, right? Oh, good waves, good for you. Happy group, it's Friday. It's Friday, and we're beginning a beautiful month. And Mr. Fernandez says, can you do a prayer for raising the pride flag? How are we going to raise the pride flag in the pride flag in the board office? No, we're not. It's already out there. But that says to people that, why not? We'll say, why are you doing that? We're going to say, why not? That's our response. Why not? It's what we should be doing. It's what I believe God is calling us to do. God is calling us to be those who have a genuine care and concern for the other, so that people understand that there are, I always say this at our meetings, there are no second-class citizens at Toronto Catholic. It's all first class, right? So there are no others in our system, in our community. There just isn't. That's how God wants it to be. So we're careful of what we are about, careful of our inclusiveness, careful of no exclusion of anybody, no marginalizing, no leaving out. It's not rocket science, folks. It's common sense, and it is of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, dear Lord, for giving us the opportunity to gather here today. We are truly blessed. We ask you to open our hearts and our eyes to see our communities as you would have us see them. Continue to give us willing hearts to proclaim a welcome, an invitation to friendship, to courage, to safety, and to appreciation. As we raise this pride flag, which is already out there, may it remind us of our call to unity, to respect, and to recognize the value and the beauty of each person created in your own image. As we continue our commitment to Catholic education, help us to create supportive, inclusive, and gospel-centered communities where kindness and care always prevail. May we always encourage one another in our shared educational journey and always uphold the common good. All are precious parts of God's creation. All are precious parts of God's creation. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless your day.
Thank you, Father. Hi, everyone. My name is Aileen Santiago. I'm an equity resource teacher on the team with Roy, and it's my honor to express the land acknowledgement for us today. Before I begin, I just want to actually just share some of my reflections on the land acknowledgement, because as practice for me is not to just do the land acknowledgement as a matter of rote. The land acknowledgement for me is always really coming from a stance of humility. That means that we are positioning ourselves, acknowledging that we are always learning and open to the wisdom as stated in the land acknowledgement. We listen to the echoes and prayers of, the prayers of Indigenous folks to the Creator and respect the beauty of Mother Earth while striving to learn and draw wisdom from First Nations, Inuit, and Métis traditions. And what that means is we acknowledge we're open to learning from the wisdom of these communities. So I just want to share quickly Two-Spirit, which is part of the 2S LGBTQ+ acronym, is in reference to the gender and sexually diverse peoples in Indigenous communities in North America, which is a term coined in 1990 by Indigenous feminists. And it refers to folks who have a special role in Indigenous communities. And something that I learned from knowledge keeper Diane Montoya is that they're revered and respected in their community. And when we express a land acknowledgement and acknowledge, as the first line say, the land we walk on belongs to the Creator, Earth does not belong to humanity, but rather humanity is part of the Earth, I encourage you to think deeply about that today. When we recognize the diversity of land, we see ourselves in that too. Land is diverse, and we are diverse. So if we listen to the echoes, we respect the beauty of Mother Earth, the beauty that comes from the wonder, then the bounty, the diversity of nature. Let's take that with us forward today as we celebrate Pride Month.
Thanks so much, Ms. Santiago. Last thing before I introduce Dr. ABC. Any educators watching this, principals, teachers, land acknowledgement does not always have to be read start to finish. Land acknowledgement needs to be meaningful, and that's what Aileen tried to show us right there. No more talk from me. We're really excited to have Dr. ABC here today. Dr. ABC is an assistant professor at the University of Toronto, one of the most dynamic, engaging speakers I've had the pleasure to listen to. If you enjoyed listening to him today, go onto our website. He spoke on anti-Black racism to our parent community back in October. So I'm going to ask you a nice warm round of applause for Dr. ABC to start off.
I don't want to move. Awesome. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think the PowerPoint is going to be projected in a minute. Once you can see, let me see. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Father, when you said pastime. It is pastime, and I heard that, and thank you so much for saying that. You know, why are we here? It's an honor to be here. I'm in a school boardroom. I'm in a room where I sat down there and it just dawned on me, we're in the room where decisions are made. We're in the room, and I have goosebumps just thinking about it. We're in the room where these seats are filled with people who get to decide how all of our students get to thrive, get to live, get to just be themselves. This is a powerful room. And I'm looking at students who are going to be leaders who will be sitting in seats like this. And I want to say to you, you will have the opportunity to sit in not just seats like it, but any other seat that you sit in to make an impact. And I just felt like I need to make it clear that when we're in these rooms and in these spaces where we have power to do things, that is what allyship means. I know we like to think allyship is this big thing, and I wear a button, and I wear a t-shirt, and I'm an ally. No, you're not. Because what happens is that equity work, inclusion work, is so filled with performance. I'm going to say the non-acknowledgement. I'm going to wear an orange t-shirt. I'm going to wear the pride flag. I'm going to observe a minute of silence. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then after that, no actions. I want to speak to you because I know you're amazing students. I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm trying to be cute. I have been a school teacher for 26 Septembers. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I am school teacher to the core. I am that teacher you see coming down the passage in the school, and you go, okay, Mr. Campbell is coming, let's go to our class. I'm that teacher. And so I'm honored and privileged to speak to you about this morning. And the idea that flourishing in all our identities. Every single body I know agrees with the title. The problem is when we get to the all, we struggle. Because what it means for some to survive and some not to survive and some not to flourish. And so I want you to understand that we all need to flourish. And when we do that, in all our identities, and this conversation, though we're celebrating Pride 2 as LGBTQIA+, but it includes all of us. Persons with disabilities, persons who are racialized, black persons like myself, all of us need to ensure that we get the opportunity to flourish. I was a student. I was telling someone, I was in a meeting the other day, I was telling someone about my story. I went to an all-boys school in Kingston, Jamaica, Anglican school. So I'm used to seeing priests in their uniform all day long. I taught for private schools in the Bahamas, Catholic schools, and Anglican schools. So I'm used to that. What I can tell you, something else I'm used to is being bullied. And I'm not here to give you, oh my God, here we're going to go, because you know I talk like some of you. We're going to go on the bullet train right now. No, we're not. We're going to go on the honest train with Mr. Campbell. That's me, DR.ABC. I went to an all-boys school in Jamaica, one of the most popular schools in Jamaica called Kingston College. Famous, popular all-boys school. Over 2,500 boys. We take the bus to school. I was telling somebody the other day, and it just dawned on me, and I actually left the meeting so emotional. We're talking about how we use defense as little kids at the age of 10. At the age of 10, what my defense system was. And I could clearly remember going to the bus stop. And in Jamaica, where I was at the bus stop, it's always crowded. Tons. When I say tons, I mean it's 2,500 kids. Maybe less than a tenth of that comes by, their parent dropped them to school. We don't have school buses. So you're talking about hundreds of kids gathered at the bus stop. And it would be so bad some days, the bullying, the teasing. And if you realize, I could never hit. I'm not a child who's easily hit. I'm 6'4" and drop dead gorgeous. So I'm always seen. Always seen. I don't get to hide. You know what I'm saying? I just get to tell the Lord thanks for making me this gorgeous. But I don't get to hide. And at that bus stop, it used to be horrible. And you know what I used to do? I didn't realize until I was this old that what I used to do. I used to wait until most of the boys take all the buses. You know, the crowd kind of flow, and then I would go to school late. It occurred to me that my lateness was my defense. It broke my heart 2 years ago when I told that story. I wasn't even ready to tell the story because I wasn't thinking about it. And my teachers would see me late and think, well, there goes Andrew, he's late. And all I was doing is protecting myself from the bullying, from the name calling, from all of that. School should not be the place where you choose to come late because you're scared to be present. School should be the place where you show up like all of you this morning, showing up. I saw you coming in. I was looking for parking. And then I saw you all coming in the building, and I saw the smiles and the laughter and the talking. And that is how you should arrive to school every day. With joy, knowing there's a place of belonging for you. Knowing there's a teacher who is happy to see you. There are friends who are happy to see you just as you are. Because a lot of us, we pretend to be somebody else. And so when we create a space of belonging, it's the extent to which people feel individually welcome. And I want to say this to all the educators who are watching me. The idea of belonging does not rest into how beautiful your classroom is, how nice the chairs are, how beautiful the couch is, if you brought yellow roses to school today, or you picked some daisy bush on the way, you know, or you paint it in a warm color. People like to listen to me. People like to say to me, Dr. Campbell, you know, sometimes because you're a strong speaker, you should wear more warm colors. I know it doesn't matter which color I wear, I'm going to say what I have to say. So that doesn't determine safety and belonging. What determines safety and belonging is your kindness, your caring, your concern, your empathy. And when we get into equity, and I have to go there, when we get into EDI, equity, and all the stuff that we are using, all the labels and the titles, I want you to remember, it is not that dramatic as some of us make it. It boils down to the simple things about belonging, kindness, caring, friendship, love, and concern. It is not that serious. But some of us, we think, I'm going to have all the papers and the policies, and yet still I have no love, no care, no concern. You are not doing equity work. You are performing. It's Friday. I'm not holding anything back. So I want you to understand. I love this picture here. This picture here is something that a lot of us used to boast about. There are songs about, you know, a rose in a thorn, you know, coming up, a rose in the crack coming up. Because what we were taught is that we had to always be resilient. And people look at me and wonder, and I'm going to be very honest about something, very, very honest. Well, I always am, but I'm going to be extra this morning, because I like being extra. Yes. Come on, extra. That's me. By the way, just you know what my theme is for my life this year? My theme for my personal theme for my life is, why do less when you can do the most? Come on, DR.ABC. But let me tell you something. Something I learned was that I used to really be big on this, telling everybody how much I'm resilient. Because I had to be resilient. And then one day, maybe about 5 years ago, it just hit me very hard. What would school be like for me if I never had to always be resilient? If I never had to brag, now that I'm older, that I had to be resilient. I sent myself to school. I passed through the bullies. I passed my exams. I did well. I extra rehearsed. When I did well, and I'm doing well because I know I'm always under surveillance, always have to prove myself. I'm one of the few black professors you see at the University of Toronto and in my building. We could go into that, what that looks like for me to walk in a room where many of our students have never had a black professor before. I've always had to be resilient. I've always had to be the best. So when people say to me, oh my God, you think you're the best? I said, of course I am. Google me. It's not boasting. It's not arrogance. It's the way in which I have arrived here today because of my resilience. But I'm going to tell you this. I stopped selling resilience. I'm going to repeat that. I am not selling resilience. You know what I'm selling? I am selling love and care. Oh, I feel my whole ancestors are in me this morning. I am here to sell you love and care and kindness. Imagine if all our students get the right amount of water, metaphorically speaking, that they need, the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of care, how we treat flowers, how we water them, how we make sure that they are taken care of. Imagine if all our students in our classroom, whether they are immigrants, they are refugees, they are black, they are racialized, they are white, they have mental issues, they have disabilities, wherever they're from, they speak 5 languages, no language, they speak whatever language, they also don't have the right Canadian English, whatever that is, we'll get into that another time. How do we make sure people feel included? So I'm not here to talk about, yay, let's celebrate pride, yay. I'm not here for that. I'm here to say to you, every one of you have a duty. And I'm going to go deep into this duty right now. I want you all to think of the word ally. We use that word a lot. I'm an ally, I'm an ally, I'm an ally. Listen to me carefully. I'm going to put my mouse situation down. You do not need to tie yourself to a building to be an ally. You don't need to march in the middle of the street, do all that kind of stuff to demonstrate, to block the road to be an ally. Let me make something clear. That is one way. I have done it. I have done it. I have demonstrated, I've blocked the road, I've lied in the middle of the street, I've done all of that kind of stuff. The sitting, the sleeping, the lying, I've done all of that. But I can tell you some of my most powerful allyship is when I can look at someone and say to them, I care, I love you, I see you, and they watch me for years and years and watch me and realize I am telling the truth because my actions speak louder than my words. I'm going to tell you the story. Oh, I have time. Come on, 9:14. I have to tell you a story. I had a class of grade 5, 6 at a particular school I used to teach at. And there's an autistic child in the class. I'm going to tell you 2 stories. 36 kids. One of my students, she's newly from India. She is amazing. Amazing. Sometimes I wonder where she's at today. You know, she's in high school still. Amazing. And we're picking to do a project. And you could sense, so let's be honest. We're not going to pretend. Let's be honest. You could sense that this autistic child, a child on the spectrum, is not going to pick her. He's going to pick class or I have to force whatever. And I will never forget when she is the most amazing girl in the class. She's just amazing, fabulous, she's great. And she got to pick first. And I'm going to tell you something. Superintendent, is it title, right? Or director? Yeah, you're Roy. I'm going to tell you something, Roy. She opened her mouth and she picked, out of 35 students, she picked the autistic child first. Period. I tell you, I sat in my seat and I had to fight back the tears. The most amazing girl in the class, she knew at the age of 11 that I am supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I could carry him and myself. That's what allyship looks like. She picked him first. I will never forget that. When you know you are good, when you know you have nothing to lose, when you know you have power and privilege and access, you use it. That's what allyship is about. You don't need to do no allyship certificate. Don't come to me and say, well, Dr. Campbell, I'm a certified ally. Okay, let me see what you do with that. Let me see what you do with that. I want you to understand what that looks like. The second part of the story, at the end of the school, it was June, he came up to me and he said to me, Mr. Campbell, I love you. And I said, well, I love you too. And I use the word I love to all my students. It's very common to hear me tell every one of my students, good morning, grade 5. Remember, I love you all. Have a great weekend or whatever. And he said, Mr. Campbell, I love you. And I said, well, I love you too. And he said, do you know why? And I said, no, but I know you're going to tell me. And he said, because I believe you. He said, you say you love me September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. I was like, what the tears are going to go on? He believed me because of my actions. Teachers, I want to speak to you. The students know when you're pretending. Oh, oops, sorry. They're paying me already. I already have my check. The students know when you are pretending. I've been a teacher for years. They know when it's not real. They know when it's June and you're pretending and performing because they heard the conversation otherwise. So I want us to be authentic, to understand. So surviving school is not what we're supposed to be doing. There's a lot of distraction in surviving school. When you talk to kids who are black and racialized and they talk to you all about anti-black racism in school, you listen to the number of ways they are distracted every day by something else. Imagine if you do not have to be that distracted by the negative and you could pour all of that into the positive. Imagine what thriving would look like in your classroom if you get to just be who you are. Sometimes people ask me, well, Dr. Campbell, is it going to be? And they want to go in all the deep stuff. I said, I'm just showing up for black joy. I said, that's what I'm about today. Black joy. LGBTQ joy. Because I just want to just live and be my best. But the sad part is we don't come from a space like that. So for me, let me share something, another personal stuff. I'm from Jamaica, and I saw a lot of you heard things about Jamaica. Jamaica is still one of those countries where homosexuality to its LGBTQ lifestyle is criminalized like many other countries. So when you wonder why some people are running to Canada to seek some form of refuge, there's a lot of layers to that. When I go home, years ago, I remember going back to Jamaica. I left Jamaica in 2000 to live in the Bahamas. And I remember going home to Jamaica, and I used to be very careful. Is the shorts too short? Is the shorts too tight? Is that shoes too high? Come on, 3-inch boots. Can I get an applause for the shoes? I used to, and I'm saying this for a reason. I know it's funny, but I'm saying it for a reason. I used to police myself. Don't bring that bag. It looks a little bit too girly. You know, oh my God, I know you don't put that, don't wear that, don't do that, don't wear that. And make sure when you walk, you kind of walk like a boy, whatever that means. If you know, watch me carefully, everybody. If you know the work and the time and the distraction that takes for me to get myself ready for people to see me in a respectful, dignified, appreciative sense of belonging, it's ridiculous. I shouldn't have to spend so many hours trying to make sure I belong. I look like I belong. I sound like I belong. I walk like I belong. I talk like I belong. It shouldn't be that way. I should be able to show up just as myself and belong. So ask yourself, what are you? No, let's go there. Let's take some accountability. What may be you doing in your school that says to other people, you do not belong here? And you may say, well, Mr. Campbell, DR.ABC, I don't do anything bad, whatever. I didn't say that. Because sometimes it's not just our actions. Sometimes it's just our body language. Sometimes it's the way we look at people. Sometimes it's the things we say that say to someone, you don't belong here. So our job is to make sure we allow each other to thrive. I love this slide. I'm going to go quickly through this one. I love this slide. This slide is from Art. And many of you know Art. It's an International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. And that's May the 17th. And this one is particular from 2020. So of course, I have the one from 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. But I love this one because this happened in the middle of the pandemic when we were home. May the 17th, 2020, we were all home. And the results came and the news came out and the data came out that towards LGBTQIA+ students at home, this is my choice of word, trapped at home. I'm going to repeat it, trapped at home. There was all kind of things happening because you couldn't escape. You were always home. And people who you didn't know what they really thought about you, now were seeing you just constantly. And they were using language and words and you felt different. And so homelessness came in. People ran away in the middle of the pandemic. When you and I, like me, I have a beautiful home office. Some of you maybe have the most beautiful bedroom you could think of. When there were two LGBT kids who were running away from home. So I want to use this to say to you, you and I have the power to break the silence. And how do we do that? We examine the many ways we can and must tell our stories. Claim space. What I'm inviting here, because one of your leaders decide, I want to ensure that the 2 LGBTQ persons in our board get to tell their stories. Claim space. Establish their voice and ensure they are heard. Somebody has to decide that. I want to explain to you that decisions are made in spaces like these. What decision are you making? So when we do that, we tell our stories. These people are, one of the persons identifies to as LGBTQIA+. There's a powerful video. The one on the right is a medical doctor. He's indigenous. I follow him. Right now he's doing amazing work for transgender students. Amazing work. And when you watch the video, I'm not listening to biology. I am not hearing biology and surgery. I am hearing love, care, kindness, I see you. That's what I'm listening to when I go on the video. We have to tell our stories. We have a right to be here and a right to be heard. We have to claim space. And to come back to what somebody, Laverne Cox said, it is revolutionary to be seen. It shouldn't be revolutionary for to be seen. I put on this shirt this morning. I think I'm looking fabulous. I think I want to walk the runway a little bit. Listen, this is me. Hashtag Black Joy. Hashtag twist LGBTQIA+ joy. Hashtag a little black boy from Jamaica. That's me. I want you to know, if you're listening to me and you're a student listening to me and you feel like how maybe I felt years ago, I want you to know it is possible for you to thrive and be who you are. I was watching this thing on social media. There's a lady on social media, Tabitha, that is doing amazing. I follow her. And she has been doing amazing. And everybody follows her. She has millions of followers. She's making money and she's doing well. And somehow they found out her daughter may be a lesbian. And if you see the number of horrible comments, it just made me sad. And then what made me happy was the way in which she used all her celebrity power to make sure the world knows it is my daughter and I love her just as she is. We have to make sure we say that to people. And if you're a parent listening to me, I want you to understand this. You need to say it to make sure people know that this is my child, and of all the children in the world, my LGBTQAI child is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. As a parent, you make sure you say that. Because I didn't have that. I have two parents who love me. Rest in peace. My parents are dead, but I can tell you, I know I was loved, but I wish I would hear it more when there are certain things being said about me. So I want you parents to make sure you speak well of your child. I put this here for a reason. I'm going to tell you a story. I put this one for a reason. 2 years ago, I was invited to speak at a university. And when they called me to speak, they said to me, Dr. Campbell, I want to let you know, a couple weeks ago, we had a meeting about towards LGBTQIA+, and we had a speaker, and the speaker mentioned that they are Muslim gay men and Muslim LGBTQ, and they are also, black. We come from every part. And it became a big issue, because people said, well, no, we're not. Just like, for instance, for me, I grew up Christian. I mean, you watch how I hold the mic, you can sense there may be a little Pentecostal preacher in me. Come on now! I used to direct the biggest, and I say this for the recording, I used to be the choir director for the largest choir in Jamaica, and even today. I used to be the choir director for a church in Jamaica called Power of Faith Ministry, the biggest seating capacity church in Jamaica. I was amazing at what I did. Amazing. I was a quiz master, Sunday school camp director. You name it, I did it. And at the age of 21, I realized that church had a major problem with who I was. I was called demon-possessed. I sat in church. You see, sometimes people get offended when I tell this story. But I tell all the people who are listening to me, you can't tell my story for me. Those are the old days when colonizers tell the story. I tell my own story. I sat on that choir after moving that church, moving the space, and listened to the most hurtful preaching messages. I came to church. You're a Catholic school, so you can manage this conversation. I came to church, like we singing back home in the church. I came to Jesus just as I was. I was weary, wounded, and sad. I found in him a resting place, and he has made me glad. That was what brought me to church. The sad news is I left church because I was wounded and sad. One of these days we'll unpack that. I'm going to repeat that because we're in a Catholic school, and many of you are listening to me are very religious folks and you're involved. I came to Jesus just as I was. I was weary, wounded, and sad from the bullying, the teasing, the name calling, being afraid, being scared, and I ran to church for that. And I left church because I was wounded and sad. You unpack that in your class, call it critical methodology, and unpack it. How are we making sure we are protecting? So I'm finishing my story, and I have 2 minutes. I'm going over 2 minutes. I want you to understand, when they said to me, we have to be careful what you say, Dr. Campbell, because people are upset about there are no Christian, or gay, or there are no Muslim persons who are gay. I put this picture on the wall. And in front of everyone, I said, I'm going to introduce you to 2 Muslim gay men. The one on the right is called Mangalassi, a drag queen in Mississauga. And the one on the left was a RuPaul Drag Race. Do not tell me that there are no gay, Christians, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, whatever religion. Do not tell me that. Because what you're doing is telling me that you are erasing people's identity. I am here. I want you to understand that. And so we ensure we are heard and tell our stories. And I want to leave you with the word affirmation. So you're going to say to me, well, that was a really nice speech, DR.ABC. What do I do now with it? I'm giving you one task today. No, I'm not asking nobody to go on a march with me. No, wrong answer. I'm not asking you to design a poster to place all over the wall. No, wrong answer. I'm asking you to affirm your classmates who share with you that they are 2S LGBTQIA+. Let them know they are your friend. Let them know they are beautiful. When somebody comes to you and says, well, we're going to have a party, but you can't invite Michelle, you'll be like, oh no, honey. If Michelle is not coming, then I'm not coming. That's how you be a real ally. You don't wait and talk bad behind Michelle's back. And then when you see Michelle, you go home and be like, girl, oh my God, I want you to come to the party too, but they didn't want you to come. So I was like, oh my God. And she was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, no. That don't work. That is not friendship. That is not allyship. That is not affirmation. That is not kindness. You missed an opportunity to be an ally. You missed an opportunity to be a friend. You just missed it. All you had to do was to say, she comes or I don't come. Don't be a part of the exclusion gang. Don't be a part of the clique that is talking bad and bringing down somebody. Do not be a part of that. And no, I want to be very clear, because I know people are saying, so you want everybody to raise a flag, Dr. Campbell, everybody to sprinkle Skittles, everybody to be like, oh my God, it's June. No, I did not ask for that. Do not walk out of here and say, oh, well, the gentleman, he said all of us should be celebrating Pride. We should be running and having balloons. I didn't say that. You don't celebrate Pride? That's okay. I'm saying it. You personally don't celebrate Pride. That is absolutely okay. What you're not supposed to do is now exclude somebody, be rude to them, be nasty, be disgusting, and talk bad about somebody. Allow them to celebrate themselves. Give people space to be who they are. So no, you don't need to show up to the Pride celebration with me. But when I'm going, allow me to go. Allow me to enjoy the music. There's going to be good music. Allow me to live my best life while you get to live your best life. That's all we're requesting. So I want you to leave that, and I want you to realize, what can I do? And it's actions at every level. It's action at every single level. So I want you, fabulous is what you are. I'm going to speak directly to any student who's listening to me who identifies 2S LGBTQIA+. This is your special slide. Oh, I made it just for you. Flourish. Fabulous is what you are. Love yourself. Open to learn and grow. Understand others. Respect each other. Include others. Spread kindness and stomp out hate. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.